You think you want to play Oni, Road to be the Mightiest Oni? It looks cute and fun. I enjoy my time with it. Check out the live stream here. But will you? Stick around and I will tell you about the game so you can decide if this might be worth your time. And make sure you're around to the end to see where it goes on the lovely bar behind me.
When the wire we're pretending like we're ready for the ending.
Follow Kuuta, a small Oni who recently lost everything in a fight with the famous demon slayer Momotaro and needs to grow stronger. In order to do so, he sails to the island of Kazemaru to take on various trials to gain strength. Shortly in, he finds some new friends, making the trials easier to take on and learning some life lessons as well. Besides some mild violence against enemies, and maybe the idea of beating their souls to a pulp, this game is adorable. Text moves slow so a younger audience can read it. The gameplay isn't terribly complicated, so they could even play some if they were so inclined. My kids thought it looked really cute, and they enjoyed watching. The game starts off with an easy-to-follow tutorial, explaining everything I could do in simple terms. The idea of the entire game is taking on trials and learning new skills. I started with a basic club as a weapon, with an attack button to physically hit the enemies. When they go down, their spirit is exposed, and I use a different button to beat that up to defeat the enemy completely. Besides attacking, the only other button used is dodge. And the dodge is very forgiving. I could dodge mid-swing out of danger. Not like some more intense games where I have to follow through with every action before making another. Almost right after the trials start, Kuuta was introduced to Kazemaru, the ghost of an Oni, willing to help him. It was an interesting mechanic playing with Kazemaru. I had to press the right bumper on my controller, then I could control him with the right joystick. I had to put him over an enemy and he could expose the spirit right away, allowing Kuuta to dispatch the enemy that much faster. But Kazemaru did have a stamina bar. He could only use his abilities for so long before he would need to rest. His stamina would fill up as spirits are destroyed, so he didn't really have to rest for long. After a couple of trials, a merchant shows up on the island who accepts mushrooms as payment. And the only way to get mushrooms would be by picking them up off the ground or finding them in chests. The merchant provides food for healing, pants that can increase health, and weapons, each with their own unique move. When fighting, after 3 or 4 attacks, Kuuta starts a special move. That final move of a combo is decided by the weapon he has equipped. Some are excellent for single enemies going right in front of him, while others are awesome for an area of effect. I usually stuck with the weapons that had everybody around me rather than in a straight line. The game isn't all combat and trials though. Scattered throughout the island will be chests, notes, and lost spirits to collect. The notes build the story up, telling about events from the past, really giving the characters and environment some depth. The spirits, on the other hand, were a very important thing to get. Every 4 collected awarded Kuuta with an extra heart, meaning more health in fights. While traveling the island, Kazemaru would get a light on his head, indicating a nearby lost spirit. He would then emit a spirit saving wave, bringing the spirit into view. Then I had to control him to go catch it. Kuuta would then have to bring the spirit to a prayer stone. But while carrying a spirit, the Guardian of the Darkness, Kiran, would attack because apparently he really, really wants those spirits. It was almost a mini game running back, dodging the incoming attacks to unload the spirits I was carrying. If Curon did manage to take a bite out of me, I would lose a distraction doll from my inventory. Luckily, I was never out of those, but I imagine it would be a game over if I got hit without a doll. There wasn't a lot of different enemies to fight in the game. Base enemies were usually a dark color, then the game would introduce tougher enemies that looked the same, only enlarged and changed to a lighter color. It wasn't a bad thing though, increasing difficulty in fighting styles depending on what appeared during a trial. It was easy to recognize and remember the mechanics of all the enemies, so I knew how to take care of business. I really enjoyed the music involved with the game, for the most part. The different areas of the island have their own theme song that plays in between trials. The song in the first section wasn't that good to begin with and got old fast. It was so nice when I got to move on and listen to something else. Even though they were better songs in other sections, after a while those two could get old. But when talking to someone, opening the menu, or starting a trial, the music always changed. So music didn't get too stale. Now, some things I didn't like. The repetitive cutscenes were overdone. Like using a special move, I had to wait for the whole rigmarole before I could get back to the fight. And when being chased by Curon, I had to dodge before he attacked every time. There was a point in the game where there were 3 versions following me, so it was almost non-stop dodging at times, slowly moving forward to unload the spirits. And then, I had to listen to the same comment about saving the spirits and watch my little heart meter fill up. Every time. It would have been nicer if maybe some actions happened without making it a big deal and shutting everything down temporarily and just moving forward. Another issue I had was some missions were just obnoxiously hard. They felt like the bar had been raised way higher than it should have been, making for a long, tedious trial that would be made even worse had I failed and had to start it over again. That happened a couple of times, and it was quite upsetting. The worst part is, the trial following would be a couple minutes long, and I would pass through with ease. It mostly came down to enemy type and placement. I mean, I did eventually get through all the trials, so they weren't impossible, just annoying. All in all, it was a simple game. Cute and to the point. It took me about 8 hours to beat it, but I only found about 2/3 of the collectibles. I enjoyed my time with it, and like I said, most of the music really did it for me. I'm feeling like this game belongs on the lower end of my mid-shelf. I saw a lot of negative reviews regarding this game before I played it. That kind of worried me, but most seem to be pointing at lag or janky gameplay. I didn't have many issues with freezing or jittering myself. Maybe I'm one of the lucky ones. And there you have it. Now that I'm done here, it's time to move on to the next one. I will see you there. Bye!